I remember this one night. I must have been maybe 22.
Okay.
It was almost midnight. The office was completely dark, except for the glow from my monitor.
I think I know this feeling.
Yeah, and I was just staring at this spreadsheet that, I don't know, it felt like it was going to decide my entire future. My stomach was just a knot of stale coffee and anxiety. Then my phone buzzed friends were out at a bar.
Of course.
And I remember looking at the text and feeling this really strange, toxic mix of resentment and pride.
The pride in being busy.
Exactly. I was busy, I was stressed, and I had totally convinced myself that this feeling, this complete exhaustion, was the official scorecard for success.
Right.
I genuinely believed that if I felt anxious, it must mean I was doing something important. What's strange, looking back, isn't that I was working late, it's that I was trying to manage everything.
Everything extra.
The deadline, my boss's opinion, the project's timing, even what my friends thought of me for bailing. But the one thing I had zero control over, the one thing that was actually mine, was that panic-driven voice in my head.
You weren't managing the manager.
Not at all. I just assumed that if my mind said, you're failing or this is a catastrophe, well, it was just reporting the news. I didn't know you could just not believe it. And that feeling, that toxic pride and exhaustion, mixed with this draining sense of responsibility, it's so universal.
It really is.
We are constantly trying to manage every single external variable, from our reputation to our finances, but we often leave the most crucial part, our internal world, completely untended. So for this deep dive, we've pulled together research on resilience, well-being, ancient wisdom, all to tackle this crisis of control. Okay, let's unpack this. What ancient tradition gives us the best antidote to that modern anxiety?
Well, the answer really lies in Stoicism.
Stoicism.
For thousands of years, this philosophy has provided a remarkably practical framework for exactly these kinds of high-pressure environments.
Right.
So our mission today is to understand how focusing our energy only on what we can truly control, our internal world, is the ultimate shortcut to resilience, leadership, and well-being.
And we're going to connect these 2,000-year-old ideas directly with modern cognitive science.
We are, to show you exactly how to build and use that inner scorecard.
That idea, the inner scorecard, that's what we need to master. So to start, let's look at the absolute foundation of Stoic practice. This comes mainly from Epictetus, right?
That's right.
And this is where it gets really interesting. What did he say was the single most critical mental filter we should be using?
He called it the Dichotomy of Control. And he advised us to constantly, in every situation, ask ourselves, is this something that is or is not in my control?
So everything fits into one of those two buckets.
Everything. He argued that confusing the two is basically the root of all human suffering. So the first realm is what's truly in our power. This is the sphere of our sovereign self.
So my thoughts, my opinions.
Exactly. Your thoughts, opinions, your judgments, your actions, your intentions, your determination. This is that inner fortress that no external force can touch unless you let it.
Okay, so that's bucket one. What's in the second one?
Well, the second realm, not in our power, covers basically everything else in life.
Our reputation, how much money we make.
Our health, even.
Yeah.
The weather, what other people do, and crucially, the ultimate result of any project we undertake.
Okay, that distinction sounds simple, but applying it to real life, especially professional life, that's the hard part.
It is.
I mean, I look at a high-stakes deadline. My boss, the client, my salary, my reputation, they all depend on the outcome. So telling me not to stress about the outcome feels like a recipe for mediocrity.
And that is the core challenge. The distinction is subtle, but it's absolutely crucial. You control your input, but you do not control the final output.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you're preparing for a critical job interview. You control how many hours you study, the quality of your answers, your attitude when you walk in the room.
Right, all my preparation.
But you do not control the interviewer's mood, who the other candidates are, or if the company decides to freeze hiring the next day.
So you're saying a lot of our anxiety comes from trying to force control over that external side.
Inevitably. Because reality rarely bends to our exact wishes. There's a great analogy for this in modern professional life.
Okay.
A job, especially when dealing with people, is similar like raking leaves in a high wind.
Raking leaves in a high wind, I like that.
If the leaves scatter as we work, that is ultimately their business. Our disappointment or frustration is irrelevant. Your job is the diligent raking. The wind's job is the scattering.
That shift from outcome management to effort mastery, wow, that completely changes the emotional equation.
It does.
And what's so compelling is realizing this 2,000-year-old idea isn't just some dusty philosophy. It's actually the foundation for modern therapy.
A direct philosophical lineage, yes.
How did Stoicism become the formative concept for some of the most popular therapeutic approaches we have today?
The core principles of Stoicism directly inform the creation of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and especially rational emotive behavior therapy, or REBT.
So you're telling me the philosophical DNA of these massive fields of cognitive therapy, it traces straight back to the Stoics.
Precisely. The central, really revolutionary idea in modern cognitive therapy is just a restatement of what Epictetus said.
Which was?
It's not the events that upset us, but our judgments about the event.
Okay, so the event itself, a financial loss, a public criticism, is neutral.
It's neutral data. Our mind immediately adds a layer of interpretation. I am ruined. I am incompetent. CBT is designed to help you identify and then modify those dysfunctional automatic judgments.
Which is exactly what the Stoics were training themselves to do. That mechanism makes so much sense. Change the judgment, you change the emotional reaction. And do we have quantitative proof that this ancient training still works today?
We do, and the data is pretty illuminating. Research that tracks modern practitioners shows clear, measurable psychological benefits.
Like what?
Well, during studies like Stoic Week, for instance, participants showed an increase in life satisfaction by about 11.5%.
That's pretty good for a week.
But the really significant findings are around emotional regulation. There was a measured reduction in negative emotions. They dropped by about 17%.
17% in 1 week.
And anger specifically decreased by 10%.
Wow, a 17% drop in negative emotion just from changing how you view events. That is significant. What does that tell you about the mechanism?
It tells you this: shifting the locus of control from the external event, which you can't change, to the internal judgment, which you can. It immediately lowers the emotional temperature.
Because anxiety and anger thrive when we feel powerless.
Exactly. The Stoic practice gives you back a field of influence. We can't stop the relentless pace of the digital age, the constant notifications, the curated lives online.
But we can stop internalizing those external pressures as proof that we're failing.
That's the key to resilience.
Okay, that makes cultivating this mental resilience absolutely crucial. So let's talk practical application. If we want to proactively build this, what actual tools did the Roman Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, actually use?
What's so fascinating here is that they didn't just read philosophy. They engaged in these structured mental exercises. They called them spiritual exercises.
It's like a workout for the mind.
A workout for the mind, exactly. Training routines designed to prepare it.
Okay, so the sources entail two key proactive tools. First is this concept of premeditation or negative visualization.
Yes.
Now that sounds counterintuitive. Aren't you just inviting worry into your morning?
That's a very common misunderstanding. Negative visualization is absolutely not the same as clinical anxiety or worry.
Awesome.
Worry is uncontrolled, repetitive rumination that leaves you paralyzed. Negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, is a controlled, proactive exercise.
So what did Marcus Aurelius advise?
He advised starting the day by anticipating meeting people who were difficult, ungrateful, arrogant, or anticipating setbacks, like losing your health or your wealth.
And the purpose of that is to make you miserable before breakfast.
It's inoculation. By mentally rehearsing these inevitable difficulties, they don't arrive as a shock. It protects what he called your ruling center. The goal is to be a rational pessimist for 10 minutes so you can be an adaptive realist for the rest of the day.
I see the distinction now. It's preparation, not just dwelling. And the second practical tool was about self-review in the evening, right?
That's the evening reflection, or what you might call a moral diary.
And what did that involve?
Seneca advised meticulously scrutinizing your thoughts, emotions, and deeds from the day, asking questions like, what went well? Where did I give in to anger or bad judgment? And what specific action could I improve tomorrow?
So it's a systematic review.
It's a systematic self-review. It's fundamentally how you accelerate your ethical and psychological development.
Okay, so moving from self-management to leadership, how does that internal mastery, that self-control, translate into being more effective when you're dealing with other people?
It translates directly into measured, rational responses. It prevents the kind of rash action that destroys trust and, frankly, careers.
Is there a historical example of this?
A great one. Look at the advice given to Caesar Augustus Octavian by the Stoic Athenodorus. When the emperor was gripped by anger, Athenodorus told him to repeat the 24 letters of the alphabet before acting or speaking.
Huh. The 24-letter trick, that's something anyone can use today, right? Before sending that angry email or reacting in a heated meeting.
Exactly. That small delay inserts a vital gap between the trigger and your reaction. As Seneca reminded us, a punishment that's delayed can still be imposed, but once imposed, it can't be withdrawn.
That measured response prevents irreversible damage.
And it demonstrates true mastery.
But this brings us back to that real-world tension. It's easy to preach the inner scorecard, but in corporate or political life, the only scorecard that seems to matter for promotion is the external one: reputation, wealth, results. So how did the Stoics reconcile the need for external success with maintaining internal dignity?
They understood that success and power are external outcomes. They're subject to fortune. So they focused instead on dignity.
Dignity.
As Marcus Aurelius and Cato emphasized, dignity means holding yourself to an inner scorecard of integrity and self-respect. If you act with justice, courage, and temperance, you have succeeded.
According to the only metric that truly belongs to you.
Exactly. If the external world fails to reward that or even criticizes you, well, that's simply one of the things not up to us. Your character remains unavailable.
That focus on character over reward moves us perfectly into our final concept, virtue. Stepping back, these ideas extend beyond just individual practice. They impact how we cultivate strength in others, especially young people in education.
The Stoic concept of virtue is central here, and we have to define it carefully. It's not just about, being a good person.
What is it then?
It's defined as excellence or a skill, a perfected expertise in the art of living. And acquiring this skill is a continuous, lifelong process.
Not a destination.
Never. Seneca taught, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Stoics called themselves progressors, meaning they're perpetually working toward becoming a better person, acknowledging that perfection is probably unattainable.
But the progress is the duty.
That's it. And this focus on internal skill development is highly validated in modern youth development research.
How so?
Studies show a strong positive correlation between resilience and emotional intelligence, or EI. In fact, EI often predicts resilience.
So training programs for things like social skills and EI in schools are basically building that protective, virtuous inner mechanism.
That is exactly what they are doing.
And the Stoics insisted on a holistic view of this. They didn't let you just pick and choose your virtues. You had to cultivate them as an inseparable set. Why? Why that unity?
Because a single virtue, if it's isolated, can be twisted.
For example?
Courage. Practice without justice can be demonstrated by a gang of thieves executing a daring bank robbery.
Right. It's courage, but not virtuous.
It requires wisdom to know which courageous action is ethical. Justice without self-control can lead to righteous fanaticism. Developing true virtue means developing the whole personality. Courage, justice, self-control, wisdom, all in harmony.
And finally, to make that commitment to self-improvement stick, it has to have a larger why, doesn't it?
It must. Stoic ethics get their real motivational power when they're integrated into a complete worldview, like being a good citizen or contributing to your community. It answers that fundamental question of why this rigorous work matters beyond just you.
It provides the rationale for contributing to the common good.
Precisely.
This has been a really compelling deep dive into mastering that inner scorecard. We've seen how the Stoic dichotomy of control provides this powerful framework, moving us from feeling like victims of our own anxiety
to realizing we are the masters of our reactions.
Whether we're young adults dealing with pressure, leaders in a crisis, or just trying to navigate this crazy digital age.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the ultimate goal in Stoicism is eudaimonia,
which is often translated as happiness, but that's not quite right, is it?
No, it's a poor translation. It really means flourishing, or a life well lived, a continuous state of excellent functioning.
And that goal, importantly, is entirely up to us.
And it's achievable only through the consistent development of virtue.
The ultimate insight from all this, I think, is realizing that the exhaustion, the stress, that desperate feeling of having to manage every external factor, it means you're using the wrong scorecard. True success isn't found in managing the catastrophe outside, but in realizing the absolute and unassailable freedom that comes from mastering only the voice inside.